7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Let's start right out. Hey, what happened?
Hi all. Nice to see everybody. Good to be here. Nice to see you. That is Lachlan Cross. That is Army Kris. That is James DeFiore. I'm Dean. Hi. How's it going? Hey, James.
Hi.
How you doing?
Hi.
Hey, Lach.
I'm good, bud.
I'm good.
Can you hear me?
How you doing over there? Yeah,
you hear
loud
me?
and clear.
Negative COVID test.
Negative COVID test for Lachlan. You're good?
Yeah,
Army
I'll
Kris
be
is
going
new to-
back to work tomorrow.
Would have been a lot
New to the
funnier if
program.
you got COVID.
Yeah.
I'm just
Well,
So, I kind of
there
thought
is-
I was hoping he might have mildly,
for
and then
context.
come on the air tomorrow and completely denounce vaccinations because he used to be an anti-vaxxer.
I
Yeah.
never
Oh,
was an
okay,
anti-vaxxer. I'm anti-flu
This is
shot.
news. Hang on. This is news to me. First of all, we need to introduce you to Army Kris. This is Army Kris. He's got a new podcast coming out here at DeanBlundell.com. He's a Canadian war veteran, couple tours of duty. Just first of all, thank you for serving, Kris. Thank you for serving
you.
this great country. We're too big of pussies to do your job, which is why I'm saying thank you. Thank you for standing in front of things that make us shit our pants. We really appreciate it. And we're going to get to that in just a second. But you're saying that Lachlan, prior to us hanging out with him, was an anti-vaxxer. Is that correct?
No.
I'm not talking to you. I'm not talking to Lachlan. I'm talking to Kris. Hang
Yeah.
on, Lachlan.
So every person that I know that's an anti-vaxxer gives this fucking scientific explanation. They say, I'm not an anti-vaxxer. I just want to control what goes in my body, and it scrubs your immune system.
I never said that shit.
That's exactly what you said.
No, I never said that.
Wow.
I first off, I was anti-flu shot because
go.
I felt that if you were healthy enough and your immune system was strong enough that you should learn every year to fight these things on your own. It just so happens that
Joe
these
Rogan
are
said
very
about COVID.
similar arguments that the vaccination, the anti-vaccine crowd has about the current vaccine. So, yes, I understand there's a parallel between the two arguments, but I can differentiate. I can separate the two. I can go in and get a vaccine. I've got 3 of them, for fuck's sakes. How am I anti-vax?
Hang on just a sec. James,
Yeah.
let's you and I have a little chat.
I do think that maybe
Let's
the vaccine has scrubbed my immune system, and that's why I got a cold.
James, baby. Jamesy.
I'm trying to look at you. Does it look like I'm looking at you right now?
A little
Yeah.
bit. Can I ask you a question down there? Does it look
go
like
ahead.
we're looking at each other?
No.
Let me ask you a question.
Oh, great.
Is that kind of weird that Lachlan used to be an anti-vaxxer and
I
we
was
finally got
not an
now after
anti-vaxxer.
I mean,
after we finally get a friend of his from Edmonton on the program to like just, and it was like in the first 3 minutes of the podcast where the guy's like, oh, it's nice to be here. Join you guys. My old anti-vax friend Lachlan's changed his mind. It's great. Like everything that he
It
said
kinda
now
makes you
is
wonder.
tainted. Yeah.
yeah, like how
No.
many people is Lachlan really? You know?
Listen,
Yes. How duplicitous is this big fucking dude?
Lots of duality there.
I
Lots of
am
duality.
not anti-vax.
But the good news is your boy Sean says, oh, good. 2 drunks on the show today.
Well, that's positive, Mike.
Oh no, is he
Buzz-
watching?
Yeah. Oh, he watches every day. He'll be commenting relentlessly.
Well, I'm glad you changed your mind. I mean, it's shocking. Like the things you find out about people, it's like you might be
Okay.
canceled. Like you don't even know if you're going to make it through today without someone going, "Hey, Lachlan probably shouldn't be delivering on-air information in
Okay,
a traditional
but-
radio setting because he was an anti-vaxxer."
That's
Okay.
And he sold out his freedom.
Sold out
Who
his freedom. Yeah.
Sold his
who
freedom
also
out.
got the shingles vaccine? If I was so damn anti-vaccine, why did I get the shingles vaccine? Here's the problem I have with the flu
Shingles
vaccine.
hurt.
Now you guys are going to fucking get it, okay? Years ago, back in the mid-90s when I was at CIRX, the Max FM 94, our general manager at that radio station decided that he wanted everybody to get the flu shot. That year, and this is just coincidence, I understand this to be the case. That year,
shingles.
I got sicker than I've ever gotten in my life.
Yeah.
Because I don't get the flu. I never do. Now, I realize that the two probably aren't connected. I probably caught a really bad flu. It was like, I don't know, West Nile flu or some fucking thing from Australia. I can't remember what it was, but I got laid out. And I was adverse to the flu shot from that point on. And I do truly believe that if you allow your body to fight these colds and viruses and whatnot, COVID, I get, is different. I do have an idea in my mind that if you allow yourself, your body, your natural immune system to combat that shit on its own, that all you're doing is strengthening your own immune system. Although I have to be very, very upfront with everybody and confess that I also do a lot of damage to my immune system by drinking 100 beer or more a month. So I realize that it does sound very hypocritical of me when I have these conversations.
Right. Yeah, it does. Okay. I'm just like, I thought I knew you. Yeah, that makes us all sick.
If anything, we're trying to.
James and I were talking about this before the show. He was like, Dean, do you want to talk about Lachlan's flip-floppy shit? And I'm like, yeah. Do you want to? And he's like, sure. But I'll do it after I am done harvesting 4,000 weed plants at my house.
That's awesome.
Can you believe this shit? This is James. We talked about you yesterday, and we showed these pictures because it's outdoor grow season, harvesting time, right? Like, that is not a normal top of one cannabis plant, Jimmy. That is.
What did you do to that?
Yeah.
How
the fuck did you get buds that
know.
big?
I don't know.
And James
Johnson pissed all over my weed plant, and they ended up growing gargantuan like that.
Do you know that you look like a person of interest, as the police would say in that picture?
Which one? This one?
Yeah. That's a person of interest right there.
Yeah.
Actually, it looks like Mark Wahlberg, if you want to know the truth. That's exactly what it looks like.
Yeah.
It's so cute. So you started harvesting yesterday or a couple days ago? How much weed did you grow? Because there's no way you grew 4 plants.
Just 4.
There's no way.
But see, I did grow 4 plants. I started with 4 clones. I put 4 plants in a big rubber bag, filled it with like rich soil and like lamb manure and shit like that. And I noticed that after I and I noticed when I kind of separated the leaves, all of the trunks were like the size of a forearm.
Oh, it's like
And
a
they were
tree.
shooting off. Yeah, basically. And so all these shoots made the abundance of marijuana. Dude, I've only really harvested 1 full plant, and I have almost 2, which is crazy.
Holy shit.
So
Army Kris. Holy shit, he says, Army Kris. Holy
My old man's
shit.
got 12 plants on the go right now, and they're 6 feet tall.
yeah. Has it been a good year? I think it has. Like, did we have a good climate for weed this year?
Don't ask me, buddy.
I live in the
somebody
Ottawa
bought-
Valley, technically, and I don't know, man. Like we found a spot down sort of like in the bottom of this hill in our, on our property.
Mhm.
And like there's always like tree frogs and shit hanging around our weed plants, and it's like the greatest bumblebees ever that look like cartoon bumblebees. I don't know if we just stumbled upon this like micro
Little oasis.
ecosystem or something. Yeah, but it's growing really well for us. Like
Wow.
the average size of one of my buds is about the size of a mini football. Not a really small mini one, but just one little size under NFL. That's about the
Okay,
size.
so did you know what you were growing?
Jesus.
Like, did you have any idea? Like, do you know what the strains are? Do you know they're growing? Are they female? Are they male? Like, what's that process like?
Well, all of them are female. I have 4 others, or sorry, my mother-in-law is also growing 4 plants at her house. But these ones were BC bud and then some random mysterious purple weed.
yeah.
Which is like the craziest. Like the guy that's the resident expert or whatever came over the other day because I was worried that they were hermaphrodites and I thought I fucked it all up. But he comes over and he's just like, Jesus Christ. He's like, I don't even know what to say about this shit, dude. But like, if it smokes as good as it looks. You're in for 4 years of getting high. You know.
Oh, well, he clearly doesn't know you.
So
So
there's
it was like 6 months.
this hermaphrodite weed. Is that what you just said? Can we rewind?
I thought
that? 'Cause I don't know
if you
Yeah,
put
yeah.
too much flowering,
It's a thing, Chris.
If you put too
Wow.
much flowering, Miracle Grow type shit in it, it will just turn into a hermaphrodite a lot of the times if you put too much. So that's what I thought was happening because I saw
So you
these little
can't-
nubs.
When you can't reproduce from the hermaphrodite plants, is that what it is? Like you can't cut a.
You don't want your weed to have a bunch of seeds in it, right? Like that,
Yeah.
that's the thing, and that's why they don't cross pollinate weed, from my understanding, if I'm not mistaken, James. Right?
I'm honestly a guy's a rookie at this shit. Like I never
Are you
had
really?
to grow. Yeah, I never had to
Clearly
grow
you are.
before.
You just
Yeah,
grew
yeah.
a
Yeah.
fucking
You
pot
just grew a
plant
world
as your
record
head.
pot bud in your backyard. That's one bud.
Yeah, that's insane.
I don't know what that is going to yield, but I can't wait to find out because I think it's going to be something ridiculous, like a QP or something.
You know what James
Because
is?
it's
James
solid
is
too.
like
It's like that.
It's
not
thick.
flat.
Yeah,
or
it's not
anything,
just
you know?
sparse, is it? It's these are thick buds. You can see it in the actual.
Yeah.
Like you can see the crystal in it too. They must be so
that
gummy.
makes me want to start smoking weed full time.
I know, right?
You know what? You know what James is like with this 4-plant thing? James is like your buddy in the lineup for beer at the football game, where he goes up and he knows he can't order 10 beer, but he does every time. And then he's yelling at you to come get, because he needs 4 people to make up 5, because he can only sell 2. And he's like, no, wait, I got another guy. Hey, come here. You basically, what you've done is you've told everybody that everybody in your family has 4 plants. So the mother-in-law, the kids' boyfriends, like all the shit.
Yeah, but I don't think anybody gives a
those 4
shit anymore,
plants,
Locke. Like,
you know what?
I don't
hope
think
he goes
anybody's
to
going to
jail
give a
for it.
shit. Like if I don't think he will, because I don't think they give a shit about people that grow their own. Like I think
They
people
don't
grow
give
probably-
a fuck, man. There's
They don't
no
care
You know
anymore,
who
do they,
cares?
Chris?
No.
Yeah.
You know
No.
who cares? I'll tell you who cares. The pot
government.
industry that
Yeah.
got licenses to sell weed, they're going to be lobbying the government to crack down on the growth, because they're sitting there in every strip mall in the country. There's now a weed store, and no one's making the bank that they thought they would make. And the people are losing a lot of money because of dicks like this guy.
No.
Growing
You just
40
explained.
No.
You actually
plants
just
in his
explained.
plantation.
It's the
You
other
just
way.
explained why
Mhm.
it's not going well, and it's not going well because the people that built like a marijuana industry in this country were cut out of all the things like the business and entrepreneurial opportunities with legalization.
Bingo.
Before legalization, there were like 6 laws on the books regarding possession. After legalization, there's 44 laws on the book that are describing possession. So what?
But how
happened
does
was,
how does that kill the
Hold on.
entrepreneurial side of the weed business?
Well, first of all, you took the grassroots, like the literal like nucleus of the marijuana industry that existed, whether or not it was legal is not really relevant because it existed. And instead of just saying, okay, listen here, dispensary in Vancouver, you guys have been pretty well behaved, so we're just going to grandfather a license to you as part of this community. Like, you know, it's going to be great to have professionals grow this industry, yada yada, whatever. But they literally took all of the people that had the most experience and cut them out of the deal, and then they allowed all these investors from hedge funds with politicians and ex-cops and ex-police chiefs and everything to invest heavily. And then they thought they knew what they were doing, so they capped the amount of retail, they capped the amount of growers. Dude, I live in an area where there's a reserve about 15 minutes away that has 17 dispensaries on the reserve.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I don't need government weed. I don't.
Yeah,
you know
nobody
what I mean?
does. And the other thing is, James explained it perfectly. The other thing is, Locke, and this may come as a surprise, is the government fucked it up on purpose. So depending on the province you live in, and I can only talk about Ontario. Well, the reason why is because, as James said, instead of going to the growers, the people that aced the gray market, the people that knew what they were doing, that had access to great pot, and said, how do you do this? And sanitizing the process so that it wasn't so bunky, because a lot of people grow shit or make edibles in like a barn full of very unsanitary conditions. It's just what that market is, right? So instead of saying to all those people who literally had fucking figured it out, come on over into the white label market and we'll make you good, because we want you guys to be part of the process. They said, no, we're going to cherry pick some people. We're going to put out shit weed and we're going to destroy the process and just make money off the legalization. Then we're going to turn around and we're going to sell this company for hundreds of millions of dollars. It's worth a fraction of the price, because that was all what the whole thing was about. So they literally fucked it up on purpose because business guys got greedy and went into that weed space where real people were growing buds like this one that my man Jamesy liked to grow up near Killaloo. And they said, no, we're going to do it. You're out. And then all of a sudden we got flooded with shit weed. Like that was really all it was.
You weren't able to bank a profit, the government.
Yeah.
Anywhere in this country.
In Ontario, they lost $40 million selling weed. I know a lot of weed dealers. Not one of them has lost money in their lives. And these are degenerates. Like these are the fucking smartest people in the room, didn't have a way to fucking fix it, right?
And you know
which
why?
is the problem.
They didn't want to reward them, they said, for committing crimes for all those years. So they took the most talented pool in the country to do it, and they said no. And then they got all these scabs to come in, you know, and figure it out. And then they lost the millions of dollars.
It's the first time I'm hearing about this. I mean, I'm not engaged enough because I don't live in this world. But you should fucking do a piece on this. You should dig into this.
What? Mark Emery's, the half that propped him up so many years, Jody Emery. Maybe she's an anti-vaxxer too, I don't know. But she's really nice and she knows so much about this shit. Like she knows, she was fighting. She was like one of the main activists that was actually fighting all the legislation that was coming out. So she knows more than I do.
Speaking of blogging, you should fucking blog that.
Yeah, you should.
I hate the word blog. Can I just
Why?
say?
Why? Because it's not fucking cool enough for you? It's not journalistic enough for you? Journalism
it doesn't need to be journalist, but blogger,
content provider. You should provide content on that.
That sounds way worse. I'd much rather be called a blogger.
I just want to be called a writer.
Clearly, you're a pundit.
Yeah. Speaking of bloggers, I'd like to make a little mini announcement here if I can. The fellow underneath me to the left or right of James, depending on who you are there. His name is Army Kris. Army Kris has a podcast, and I'd like to tell everybody that we love veterans here. We support veterans. I said this from the beginning of time. You know, you're the people that stand in front of things we're too big of pussies to stand in front of. So I want to thank you, first of all, just for coming on the podcast, and I also want to thank you for your service. A couple tours of duty in Afghanistan. You're a career military guy. You support the military still. You support the men and women that are out of uniform as well as still in uniform. Tell us a little bit about this podcast and what you hope to do, and then we'll kind of get into some of your history if you can, Kris.
Yeah, you bet. So Lachlan would say this started 10 years ago. It started a couple years ago when I first learned what a podcast actually was. Which was basically people just sitting around bullshitting. I'm like, fuck, man, we can do that. Like, that's all we do. We sit around and drink beer, Army guys, and they bullshit. So,
that's true.
I thought we need to record this. We need to like roll tape on this, whatever. And I evolved it from a bullshit session to create an environment where current serving members, should they choose, or veterans, or their families or friends, you know, anything that commonly ties into military service or things that impact people in the community, to come on and have an environment where they're in an unbiased and unedited space and tell me your fucking story, you know. So that's what I'm trying to put together right now.
So when you talk about an unedited story, what's yours? Like you tours in Afghanistan. When did you join the Army? What made you want to get into the military? And what made you get out?
So I joined the reserves in 1988. And that's because I needed a summer job. Like, I had no intention of staying in the Army. I was never in cadets. Everybody said, well, your grandfather was an artilleryman and your uncle was an artilleryman. Is that why you joined? I'm like, nope. I needed a summer job that ended up lasting 24 years. Oh, by the way, I still need a summer job for anybody listening.
That's actually sad.
And it just became a career. First deployment was to Cyprus. My second one was in Bosnia, and then 3 and 4 were in Afghanistan. If you think Afghanistan's fucked now, I probably could have told you that 10, 15 years ago. You know, did 2 tours over there. When I got back, I was disgruntled. a little bit pissed off. I didn't like, or I wasn't necessarily aligned with how we were doing things over there and what we were doing. And we knew we were leaving. So when you know you're leaving, it feels like there's a lack of the will to go out and do what needs to be done and adopt a protective defensive posture. And we just were marking time on the back end of that. So, you know, I got back and I'm like, fuck, man. I was there in 2007, 2008, 2009, 2010. And I just decided enough's enough. I kind of peaked in my career for what I did over there. And it just made sense to leave on a good note. You know,
What
you don't
did
want to
you do?
leave. So on the back end of that, my 2 tours in Afghanistan, I ran, I guess to make it simple to understand for people, bomb disposal team. So I was the team leader for counter IED 1. So bomb disposal teams.
Hurt
So
Locker.
IED stuff. Yeah. Hurt Locker shit.
Yeah. Well, okay. That's very Hollywood, but yes, basically.
Oh, you're saying that wasn't a movie. It was a movie. It was not a documentary. Hurt Locker, Jeremy Renner.
It's a great piece of fiction.
I know. I know, but like I watched that movie, and the part that stuck out to me in the Hurt Locker was when he got back, and he's standing in the grocery store, and he's looking around. He's hearing the music over the speakers. Jeremy Renner standing there, and he's looking at like thousands of cereal boxes, and you could tell he's like, "This is not for me." Right? Like I've just come from the adrenaline seeking rush of being a fucking bomb disposal guy, and now I'm standing here in a grocery store. It's like, and I found that interesting. It was almost like he was not at home being at home. Did you experience that too when you got back? Like, did any of that resonate with you?
Oh,
you
for
still
sure.
experiencing that?
Absolutely. You go from so Lachlan thinks I can't stop drinking. I proved him wrong. I mean, so over there, I
Interesting when he says that. That's all.
Well, let's
Yeah.
hang on, Chris. Hang on. If I'm to understand your stopping drinking story that you just referenced, Lachlan told me you did it for 3 weeks, and he said it was the worst 3 weeks of your life, and no one came around because you weren't drinking. Is that correct?
not only was it the worst, it was the dumbest fucking thing I ever did. My buddy Dave wouldn't even come over to my house. And he goes, here's what he says, Dean. He goes, do you really want to be lying on your deathbed going, boy, am I glad I stopped drinking for those 3 weeks?
Yeah.
Well, I'm never fucking doing that again.
Coincidentally, I said the same thing about threesomes when I was married.
That's wait.
Well, if that ever happens, do I want to sit here and go, no, I shouldn't do that? That was a deathbed thing where you stand there. Am I ever glad I didn't have that threesome in London? Am I ever glad I didn't do that thing?
Right? It's the same thing. But back to your question. Yeah, absolutely. Like you go from 100 miles an hour back to 0.
Yeah.
And like we spent 7 months on 15 minutes notice to move.
So you're
7
amped
months.
up. You're like always going, I could be fucking out of here in
Fucking there
15
all
minutes.
the time.
Yeah.
And suddenly, you know, do you want to go to Chad and Karen's for fondue on Wednesday? I'm like, fucking no.
Chad and Karen sound awful. Jesus Christ.
Well,
So-
you got nothing in common with Chad and Karen. Like, you just came back from disposing roadside bombs in the most
Exactly.
dangerous country in the fucking world. Do you
And
want to
then you
sit
have to
around
hang
and
out
talk
with
about
Chad.
talk
She's
about
bitching
Chad?
about, and Karen's bit because Chad's not allowed to speak. Karen answers for him. Chad doesn't like spicy food. Fuck, okay. So he's bitching about the new fucking traffic light they installed on whatever street and avenue. And I'm like, is that seriously the fucking biggest issue of your life right now? But
That's interesting though, because that's the contrast of always sort of being on alert and the adrenaline that goes with it. And you mentioned something before that I found interesting because I've talked to some soldiers and I've seen some interviews where, especially Canadian soldiers, who the problem that they had being in Afghanistan was like mostly twofold. Either they didn't like the way the politics was being managed with warlords. That was a big one, apparently. And then the other one was that they'd get frustrated because like they would build schools and they would be either left empty forever or bombed soon. And I'm just wondering, was it policy? Which side,
Bridges.
if either
Stuff
one of
like
those sides were you on as far as your dismay as far as policy went over there?
so that's an interesting question. you can worry about that. It's very challenging, especially in that environment. But our entire approach, to me, was flawed. I do a lot of research before I went to any theater of operations, and I read a book called "The Bear Went Over the Mountain." Now, it's a series of vignettes written by somebody from the Russian military who occupied Afghanistan, in the 80s, which most people know about. And as I'm reading this is before my first tour. I'm going, fuck, we're doing all the exact same things that they did to set up for failure. Now, some fucking misunderstood genius general is going to argue with me. But at the end of the day, if your methodology is to go out and operate during the day and then go hide in your camp at nighttime, and then the Taliban come in and fucking tune up the locals that you're trying to win the hearts and minds of, it's a recipe for failure. So what we were trying to do over there was great on paper, but in practicality, was never going to be successful, which is why we are where we are today.
I've heard Army Kris make comments too about equipment and what the Canadian soldiers have at their disposal. And I'm guessing as well, when you're there with other countries as well, and you're sitting there comparing toys, that it can be a little frustrating.
Didn't you have to wear the bright green uniforms in the desert because that's all they had for you?
No, that was on the front end. To that point, we were actually over there probably better equipped than most countries, short of the United States. We had the M777 howitzer. We were the only country there with artillery, which was brand new. We had new light armored vehicles. We had fairly decent equipment for that. And ironically enough, that was thanks to Paul Martin, not Stephen Harper. Mm-hmm. I would say generally we are under equipped. We most certainly need to rely on other militaries to go to war. We can't do it by ourselves. It's the same reason that the Afghan National Army failed and the Taliban took over, is because they were reliant on U.S. air power and U.S. intelligence. Well, the Canadian military is not much different. We have to go into joint operations in order to fucking go anywhere because we just don't have enough shit.
Can I just ask one last quick question? Just a quick one, because I was just curious about when it started. I guess it was 2002 or early 2000,
late 2001 is when Canada first went over there.
Okay, so when we went over there, the Taliban was ousted. Karzai was installed. He was kind of a puppet, and then the United States, anyways, stayed for 20 years. We stayed for 14 or something like that.
Correct. 11 years in combat, 14 all in.
Right, and then Biden leaves apparently with no notice. I don't know why, but that would be. But then it caused all that rescue stuff that they had to deal with. And then as soon as it happened, the Taliban took over, and was any of it worth it? And do you think occupying a country is even a good idea anymore because of the length of time that they end up staying there?
Well, let me answer that three ways. Worth it? Let's rewind. The Taliban had 20 years, to go back to your timeline, James, to plan this, because we were constrained to operating inside of Afghanistan. So the bad guys would just fuck off over the mountains into Pakistan because we know they can be trusted. We didn't know bin Laden was here. Oh, shit. And we can't cross that border. So they literally had 20 years to fucking figure it all out because we were constrained to operating in Afghanistan. I mean, all of ISAF, everybody, right? Americans, us, everybody, short of special operations. Mm-hmm. So it was no surprise. A lot of the guys I talked to are struggling with the "was it worth it" thing. And there's no clear answer on that, because did you touch and impact lives while you were over there? Yes. You need to understand that over 20 years, you have a whole fucking generation of Afghans, even though the Taliban took over quickly, that, if you follow media now, they're speaking out. It's not going to be the same as it was prior to 2001, between 96 and 2001, when the Taliban ran that country. The Taliban now wants to go to the table of the UN, which I think is a fucking joke. because they're under scrutiny and they got people rallying against them. And if they seriously want to run the country, which I fucking cannot ever get my head around, they have to do things differently than before. But back to your question, was it worth it? Most guys like me focus on our specific job. I cannot get wrapped around the fucking politics. As a member of the military at the time, you were merely an extension of political will and the practical application of foreign policy. So focus on your fucking job. Take care of the guy to your left or your right. Right? I led a team of 5 guys. My job is to get them there, take out fucking bombs, try to find bad guys and make sure they get killed, and then get home and then set up to go do it again. Not to think about the big picture because you're never going to get your head around that.
Were you? Can I just to intercept here? Can I ask you, like, you talk about going to get bad guys and getting bombs? Take us through that process, like the taking apart an IED. How do you find them? What's that like? And then, like, when you say go and get bad guys, like, were you in firefights? Is that something you had to do too?
Yeah. Well, when they come up, sure. So counter IED, I can't get too deep into it because a lot of the techniques, tactics, and procedures are currently used today. So there's a lot of shit that actually is secret.
Yep.
But it has 3 lines of operations.
You didn't want to say classified, right?
No, fuck, that sounds cheesy. Classified. Some mall ninja warrior that pretended he was over there will say that.
Yeah, that's classified. I would love to hear you say that. Yeah, that would have been cool. You're right, James. Sorry, go ahead. So it's secret. Yeah.
So
you find out they fixed walkie-talkies in the reserve.
Your buddy down the road. And Locke does do fondue with that guy on Wednesdays.
I do not.
Chad, I hate you. Pussy. Such a pussy.
So 3 lines of operation is in the force. So that's to train our guys to not get blown up, to keep it condensed. And then we also train local Afghan National Security Forces in counter IED operations. So number 2 is to defeat the device. That's the specific bomb disposal hurt locker thing. So we have EOD operators that when an IED is discovered either by coalition forces or by local nationals or Afghan National Security Forces, we go to that device and then do what's called a render safe procedure. Basically defuse or blow the fucking thing up, depending if we're in the city or outside the city. And then the last thing,
chuck a Pepsi bottle at it.
Yeah, see what happens.
You could do that.
Like throw a rake at it. Have you ever done that? Where you're like, here, fucking throw a rake at it and see what happens.
Funny thing, we have a rake that we can mount on a tank to just go fuck it. It's called a root clearance package, and they'll just
see.
It's like playing whack-a-mole with a blindfold on at the mall. And then, but the last piece is you want to take out the cells, the fucking bad guys they operate in cells. 4, 5, 6 guys. They work for a guy. He works for a guy, and they have an area that they place IEDs in. IEDs are not random fucking things. They're directed to kill Afghan security forces or us. So you want to take those guys out. You can chase bombs all fucking day. You can smack hornets with a fly swatter all day, or you can go get the nest. So we try to build, an intelligence package to find that cell, and then go fucking take them out.
Take some out? Did you take some guys out? Your crew?
We didn't directly do that. I would build that package and feed it up.
Oh, and then someone else would go do it.
There was guys, there was ninjas that did that shit for us. We were, I was embedded in a quick reaction force that was kind of constrained in what it could and couldn't do. Sometimes you're getting shot at, shooting back. Sometimes you're not. But my job was to build a profile on a cell of bad guys, and you're going to hear about that in about December on my podcast.
Okay,
then,
I'm just surprised.
What's the name of the podcast, by the way?
Ninjas.
The podcast is called Fire for Effect.
Fire for Effect podcast. Army Kris is the host. He joins us. You're going to be able to find it at deanblundell.com very, very soon. Did a couple tours of duty in Afghanistan. We're just kind of shooting the shit about what that whole business was like, which just fucking sounds intense. Like, I mean, you're sitting there explaining it to me, and then we've all seen movies about it, but you lived it, right? Did you, like, what is it like? What is it like to like literally stand in front of one of these things that could go point in time? Like, what do you yourself? Do you hum? Do you bring some gum? Do you like like do you meditate? Like how the fuck do you keep those nerves?
Sing Daryl Hall and John Oates songs.
Maybe Hall and Oates. Didn't think of that. Little light
Candle in the
ABBA.
wind. Little candle
Yeah.
in the wind, maybe.
Yeah, that would
Yeah,
work.
Some Elton John.
I'm All Out of Love by Air Supply works.
Love that tune.
You know,
Love it.
really?
Yeah.
No, it's technical competence. The bombs are simple devices for the most part, but very cleverly positioned.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like these fucking guys, you would need to respect that enemy. You think, oh, they're a bunch of cavemen and they're stupid. Like they're not stupid. They can take very simple things with a few key ingredients that came from Pakistan and put together a very simple bomb that will do a lot of damage if it's located and timed on how they use it. So once you understand that, the actual disassembly of it is not overly complicated. And I'm not speaking on behalf of the fucking operator that puts on the suit and has to walk down and do that shit. The biggest fear for us is that they're figuring out what we're doing because they're constantly watching us, and they'll set up a secondary device. So you get focused on that one bomb and they'll use another one to blow you up and get you directly.
Wow.
So that's a cat and mouse game that you got to fuck with all the time.
Yeah, it's crazy, dude. It's like, again, I mean, it's just something I would never do. I'd never sign up for that. Like, I remember when I was like 20, I got this thing. It's like, hey, do you want to come, catch crabs in the ocean off the Bering Sea? You might die, but we'll pay you really well. I'm like, fuck no. So, like, just even hearing this is like, it's crazy to me. We're excited to have your podcast, Kris. Army Kris. Fire for Effect is the name of the podcast. It'll be here at deanblundell.com. We got some
Very
stuff
soon,
to get
right?
to. Yeah. Like we're gonna get on an email and make sure that we get this thing hammered out by next week, so we can actually start putting this stuff up. But it's not just about like theaters of war. You want to talk about wellness. You want to talk about PTSD. You want to talk about today's soldier, whether you're in or out of the Army, and how you deal with it, right? Like that's going to be the focus of what you're doing.
Absolutely. It's not going to be centric on Afghanistan. There is other places Canada's been. There's other things happening in the community that, people will want to be aware of. We talked earlier about getting Bryce Hooper, since weed was a hot topic at the beginning of this. We can get
Very
into that.
hot. Yeah.
Right? Like Bryce has been working with medicinal marijuana long before legalization. Locke can jump in right now because he's actually, had.
I've talked to Bryce numerous times.
Bryce on his show.
He actually had a clinic, and his thing was he was just trying to get a lot of these vets off of pharmaceuticals, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, I met some of these guys over the course of a couple of years of interviewing Bryce, and I mean, there were guys that were on 60, 70, 80 pills a day, right? What? Just crazy. You know what? That's a good question. I mean, not everybody has the same experience when they go overseas, and I mean, obviously, open combat and the stressful things that you do when you're in a situation like Afghanistan will have different impacts on different people. But is there a rough percentage of the guys that come over that might not necessarily be the same when they get back?
Chris?
Sorry, say that again.
Like when
is
you
there
go,
a rough
like,
percentage
you take 100, you take 100 guys that have experienced war in whatever capacity. How many of them come back with some? Are they all impacted, or do you think it's a percentage?
I would answer that question this way, that 100% of everybody is impacted. It's just to what degree.
Yeah.
Because you're going from such, if you take, I was an outside the wire guy, obviously, but there was people that had roles that were back at the big base called CAF, which is Kandahar Airfield, that had like logistical roles. They could have been a clerk or a supply tech. But that doesn't matter. Those people are also affected by fucking rocket attacks that come in. That place has been mortared, rocketed, everything, and they're away from their families. I was fortunate. My wife, or my ex-wife, my wife at the time, she was in the military and she was over there with me on the second tour. She was back there, but she's feeling that stress because she knows I'm out there doing my thing. Those people have families back home that are worried about them. So the answer is yes, everybody's affected. As to what degree?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Fascinating stuff, dude. I am really looking forward to this podcast. So where can people get a hold of you from now on? I guess just at the Army Kris with a K on Twitter, correct?
Correct. Twitter and Instagram, and right for now, my show part 1 and part 2 and part 3 will be out this Saturday. It's only on YouTube, but we're working on that.
Okay. Well, we'll have it up this weekend, so we'll give you a hand with that. But I really appreciate you being here. Thank you, Kris. Thanks for your service, dude. Fucking great to finally meet you, and really nice that you're going to be part of the network. And we can't wait to help you kind of deliver some of the messaging that you need to deliver to people who really need to hear it, who are Canada's heroes. So thank you for everything. Really appreciate your service.
I appreciate it.
All right, we'll talk to you soon. That is Army Kris, Lachlan's buddy from Edmonton. That's where he's located. Dude,
thanks for doing that, Dean. I appreciate
my pleasure.
You taking the time to look at his stuff. And I've been bugging him. Well, I shouldn't say that. I've been teasing him about his procrastination, which I think may have motivated him a little bit, whether he'd admit that or not, to get it going, because I always thought that there might be something there. And it's been a dream of his to do something like this, like podcasting documentaries for years now. So this is kind of the first step. He has put a ton of work and money into that studio. He's got professional cameras, editing equipment. He's probably got $10,000 into it. And when I saw his first one, I went in with no expectations, because I wasn't expecting it to be good. And I was sort of thinking, you know what? Before I introduce you to Dean, which would be an awesome platform for you to reach, a much larger audience, I'll give you some help to try to get it off the ground. I saw the first one and I'm like, fuck, man, you're ready to go. Like, it's
really good.
Yeah, it's really good. I mean, he's very critical of what he did the first time around, but I'm like, dude, it's got a good, and it's not going to be heavy. They have a couple of laughs. They're drinking a beer. It's just some real fucking guys sitting down, talking about doing something a very small percentage of the population gets to do, experience, and it impacts their lives for the rest of their lives. Right?
Yeah. I mean, and that's the part that I'm interested in, right? Like, I mean, and we talk about it all the time, like it's kind of a throwaway thing, but the greater good, like, what are you doing with your life to help other people around you a little bit? And to see him wanting to help those people that he was a part of, he's a community member of, that lifelong, and as you pointed out, very small community, very small group of people that had the nuts, and pardon the French if you're a female, and you had the vagina, I guess, to go over there and do things. The vajayjay, to do things that none of us would ever do
in life. Yeah,
dude. There's a lot of women in the military,
that.
And there's a lot of women that go over fucking seas, man.
Absolutely.
And they got way more balls than the fucking three of us on this podcast.
There should be a football team called Philadelphia Pussies, because of how strong a vagina actually is. I'm saying.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Maybe the Vermont version of vaginas or something.
No, I don't think Vermont's not big enough for an NFL franchise.
The Las Vegas Versace.
Yeah. But no, it was great to have Kris, and we're excited to have his podcast, and we're excited to talk to veterans, and we're excited to get involved in that community. Yeah, no,
you didn't need to do that, Dean, and you took some time with him, and
no, I love it.
That's fantastic.
I'm fascinated in it, dude. Like, I really am. I'm very interested in that, and I hope it comes out. Like, I hope it comes out and it does well, and we'll help it do well, and we'll do what we can.
And I think it will help people. I think
it'll voice
provide,
for that. Yeah, it's a marginalized community because no one wants to hear about it. Like, government doesn't hear about the damage that they've caused, right? So because the government doesn't want to hear about the damage they've caused and what little support they give these people, like very, very little support they've given our men and women in uniform, very fucking little, mental, physical, medical, all of it. It's really important to me that we cover it. And Kris is passionate about it. And listen, any guy that's willing to spend 10 grand of his own dosh to do something like he's done so he can service a community, because that's what I got out of him. It wasn't like, hey, I want to be a famous podcaster or blogger. He never said that once. He said, hey, I want to help people in my community. And fuck, we're ridiculous if we're not taking part in that conversation, right?
And who really wants to be a famous blogger?
The other thing is, too, and I'll say this out loud right now because I'm friends with him and I know Army Kris really, really well. He's not going to fucking beat around the bush.
Good.
He's brutally honest.
Yeah.
And at the same time, can still have respect for what he did, right? Like
Right.
he doesn't talk down to it, right? He sees the warts in what it is that happened, but he's also proud of what he did over there, right?
It'd
And
be
I
cool
think
to see
that's-
Kris talk to like a person who was a civilian or a public servant or whatever, who made the decision, certain decisions that caused his group to go there or go there that he disagreed with, just to see how that conversation could play out. You know, like, you made that decision, by the way, and 2 of our guys got killed because we ended up in this spot where we shouldn't have been because you made that decision. It would be neat to see both sides sort of engage honestly with each other. I don't know.
And I want to
he's remarkably coherent with how much he drinks. Like fucking.
We've been on the phone with him for almost 2 hours, Locke. Like, because we had him on before talking about this and talking about his thing and having a meeting, and he was drinking the whole time and went back to the fridge for 3 or 4 minutes. Like, that is a fucking hero. Yeah, dude, you missed it. What I wanted to play for him was this, but I didn't get a chance because I said I wanted to find out if this is what it's like actually like over there right now.
Barhand. Amir. Who did this?
I had no idea.
This is awful. This. Oh my God.
The end is the best. Tell me that isn't the funniest thing you've seen in a long fucking time. Big Kris put that up. We had him on the podcast yesterday. If you missed it, it's the Friends theme, but all the guys the Taliban that freshly took over Afghanistan, trying out all the Ferris wheels and stuff because they had no idea how this shit worked.
Pivot,
it is
Farhad,
brilliant.
pivot. Thank you, the ghost.
Or
Tell
instead
you
of
that's
my
not the
instead
fucking
of my
best.
scone, my ID. Oh, you can have it. Way to go, Rashad.
Oh, anyway,
Was that
it was.
racist, actually? Was that racist?
I don't know. I don't know if that's a racist. video.
Mildly. I think
Is
we
it?
can get away with it today, though.
I don't think it's racist. I think it's just a pivot, farhand pivot. I just think it's like cute. I think it's a cute little look at the Taliban enjoying what is now their country. Right?
Yeah.
They won. I mean,
Yeah.
I hate them too, but they won.
Man, they got that long game down, don't they?
Yeah, big time. Can I ask you guys a question?
Go ahead.
About a couple things. Do you mind? What the fuck is going on in Edson, Alberta, Lachlan?
Well,
Explain this one to me, please.
I can explain this
Thank
because this is do you remember back in the day chicken pox parties?
Yeah.
Yes.
So what ended up happening was it became a thing because we learned that if your kid got chicken pox at the age of whatever it is, 2 to 5 or 6 or whatever, that their immune system would fight it off, and it did less damage to them as a child than it would as an adult.
Chicken pox when you're older can be deadly. Yes.
So when we were kids, I think it's around our age, our parents would make sure we got chicken pox just to ensure the fact that we didn't catch the virus down the way. Now, I don't know whether or not that made any sense, but I remember it being a thing. Like, I'm not sitting here defending the chicken pox parties, but I think that's what happened in Edson. I think they truly believe there's a portion of the population that believes that if you get COVID, you'll have the antibodies, and that it's just really a flu anyway.
Right.
And so let's just all have a COVID party. The problem is not everybody responds to COVID the same. And that message is being very difficult for some members of the population that are surrounding us to understand, and that some people get really fucking sick from it and some people die. So a COVID party in Edson, Alberta.
Yeah.
I spent all morning trying to find any details on it, and I couldn't get I wanted, where was it? How many attended? Were they like sucking face with the guy that had COVID? Like, I wanted details like that. And all I got was they just had a COVID party, and then a handful of them apparently are in ICU in Edmonton fighting it right now. Not the only city that has had COVID parties. We talked about it on the show this morning as well, and somebody sent a note saying they've heard of COVID parties in Whitecourt, Alberta, as well as another northern community. I don't know what else to say. It didn't work. So
I got an update.
Okay.
You want one?
Yeah.
You go to deanblundell.com. You can read all about it. That party has now become fatal. 3 people that attended that party are now dead as of right now. And there are several more apparently in ICU in what is commonly referred to as fucked, critical condition on ventilators. So could go either way. Fucking killer
did
party.
Did you find out how many numbers? Like
they said it was like a couple of dozen. Okay. There was no specific number, and the place is fucking super tight-lipped. Like, everybody in Edson, Alberta is not saying anything, to the point where there was a story that was put out about it. Now it's gone, and the story that was put out and gone was taken away, I think, in part because someone of influence in Alberta does not want this. This is the only thing that remains of the story. What?
News from this small town 2 hours west of Edmonton. Edson residents are filling up Edmonton's ICUs.
Yeah, reporting looks like a ton of fun right now, by the way.
Yeah, the thing about Edson too is I believe that the town is also and I don't know this for a fact,
full of meth heads.
Well, there's some issues in Edson, but I have heard that it has one of the lower levels of vaccination rates in the province. So I don't know what it is. If it's a higher concentration of a religious population or
dummies.
I don't know. Yeah,
or education.
They also are famous for the Edson Ball Tournament, which you'd think they'd be aware of viruses because there's a lot of herpes every year that get transmitted at the ball.
You don't always clean the hose when you pass it for the next person to get a drink, right? Like
that's right.
Yeah. You're sloppy.
So there's
fascinating. Isn't that fucking fascinating? They're throwing fucking and the party itself. And there are social media posts that have now disappeared. It was dubbed the Get COVID Party. And
herd immunity.
Herd immunity. Yeah. Get COVID. Got COVID. Yeah, come on in. And apparently they were intentionally touching each other when they shouldn't have. Intentionally like hugging each other. I don't know if they were sucking face. I don't know if it was an orgy. I don't know if they gave everybody all the extreme opportunities to exchange fluids in a big orgy. I don't know. Yeah. But what I do know is that they intentionally wanted everybody in that a buffet of sorts of fluidy body parts for people to get this shit. I'm mind blowing.
Get your herpes over here.
3 of them are dead. 3 of them are fucking dead.
3 of the people have died. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. You can read about it at deanblundell.com, but yeah, it is fucking hilarious. Like, and it would stress me out. It was a stressful morning.
So it kind of worked.
Yeah. Darwin wins. So did we. Yeah,
they're going to kill innocent people, though, when they spread it.
Here's the thing. Okay, here's a question. Is it sad?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. Guys,
I am finding, generally speaking...
You really do.
No.
Okay, your opinion is yes. Okay, good. Thank you, James. Lachlan, your opinion?
It's sad also because they're going to involve innocent people, and then those people will die. So it is a sad thing that they are doing this on purpose.
That part's sad. There are sad parts to this.
I don't know, man. Like, what if someone?
Okay, I'm not asking you to be, dude. I'm not asking you to be me. I'm not asking you to be me. I'm just asking your opinion. Your opinion is yes, it's very sad. I get it. I would agree. Lachlan, do you think it's sad?
I'm somebody who struggles with empathy to begin with. So here's the thing. I try to put myself in situations where I would have feelings for that group, right?
Yeah.
And I do that based on tough conversations I've had over the last year and a half. And I'll recount one that I think I may have shared a couple of months back. I may have been on the air and said something harsh, like, like I showed very little concern for somebody dying based on something similar to this situation, right? Not getting vaccinated when given the opportunity. Like when we changed the rules, I think it was then. It was like, you're on your own, fuckers. Like, I didn't say that on the air, but I said something similar to that on my show. And there was a guy that sent me a note on Facebook who I kind of know. And he was really mad, and you could tell. So I asked if we could have a conversation. And this guy is not vaccinated and chooses not to be, and thinks that people who are upset about or who don't show any empathy for people dying, especially those that chose not to get vaccinated, thinks that's just the worst thing in the world, and how could I, right? So I try when I have interactions like that, I try. But the problem I have with it is we're not changing these people's minds. Like today, we got a note from somebody who said that the reason why the ICUs are full isn't because of COVID. It's because of mismanagement of the healthcare system, which may be playing a part. Like they just keep trying to find new ways to justify it. So I'm losing my ability, which was limited to begin with, to have empathy for these people that are doing things like having COVID parties, right?
Yeah. Like this party itself. And to James's point, I would agree with James. I was just trying to figure this whole thing out because, like, the stupidity involved in people having this party, that's something that isn't sad. But the overall effect, and one of the deaths, as was just kind of reported in the comment section here at deanblundell.com, one of the deaths was, I believe, the father of two young men who went to the party and the dad didn't go. So it takes on new meaning, right? And I think if you just look at the death portion of this, death's always kind of sad, right? Like, I mean, it is. You lose somebody, the circumstances behind, who's been left behind. Those are fucking terrible things to talk about and think about. And so, of course, it's sad. But, like, for the people that caused this, I don't feel any empathy towards them if they're infirmed or die. I don't. Like, for the people who generally... Yeah. I think you got to kind of break it down. Like, it's easy to generalize, but when you generalize, you get into trouble, or so I've been told. So yeah, it's fucked. It's just
because all of a sudden I feel like sending my stepmother a blanket. You know what I mean?
I do know what you mean.
There was a moment where you were human for a bit there, James.
Okay, go ahead, guys.
Yeah, you did a really good job trying to show everybody. He just wants her dead. You tried to tell us that death's sad.
I got into it a little bit with somebody this morning because we talked about the Edson thing, and I was like, you know what? The thing that bothers me is that now we're hearing, and again, the fact that I'm even saying this out loud and that there's a percentage of the population that's going to disagree with it or think that it's fake information is so discouraging to me that I don't even want to talk about shit like this. But the children's hospitals in Saskatchewan and Alberta are now giving up their ICU beds for COVID patients that are unvaccinated because it's an 80+% of the people in ICUs that are unvaccinated.
Do you want to read that? That's from Clay in Alberta. Go ahead and read that.
20,304 active cases in the province of Alberta, with 1,004 in hospital. Of those, 230 patients are being treated in the ICUs. So now Saskatchewan is ICUs are filling up. Alberta's ICUs are filling up. Northern Alberta is shipping people to BC, but there's a group of people that are in denial and they're not believing it. And and we're so numb to the idea that these people are dying, even if the percentage of the people that are getting it is so low, we're still so numb to the whole fucking idea. But I made a comment like, I don't know, like, I don't think I want that guy that had a COVID party in Edson to take a bed away from a kid that's got cancer. I'm sorry. And then I got a nasty, not a nasty email about what about the ones that don't work out or that eat poorly or like you drink too much, right? Like, I get her point. That doesn't defend the anti-vax situation, in my opinion. And thank God I don't run the Alberta health system, because I probably would be making calls like that.
You'd be telling people they have super
All right,
living.
Jerry. All right, Jerry. You had a COVID party and you didn't get vaccinated? Guess what? We're going to take care of the 10-year-old with leukemia.
Yeah.
Sit in your truck in the parking lot and wait.
But doesn't
I mean, that's the only thing. Go ahead, James. Sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say, does that choice, is that really the choice? Because that's starting to sound like the Sarah Palin death panel thing where it's not
and
really
again,
like that.
James, I don't know the specifics of it.
Okay.
All I know is that they are now moving patients. They're shifting patients around in hospitals. And what that means is that may mean that a bed that could be for a kid in a horrific accident might be taken up by somebody on a ventilator from a COVID party in Whitecourt, right? Like, that's all I'm saying. It's the possibility is there. So
yeah, effectively, my understanding of it is because ICUs are over capacity. I think it was like 180% capacity. Is that the last line of defense is moving some COVID patients into ICU, into children's hospitals or settings where they normally are not allowed, right? Because they're adults and they're reserved for the most vulnerable and the smallest, and that's why they have all that space. It protects the system, so to speak. That's kind of the last line of defense before it's like full collapse, like you're fucked. And so, you know, and I think that what Lachlan's saying is, and it was kind of fucking funny because I was listening to John Tavares, and I don't have the video here, but John Tavares was asked about it because there's a big NHL thing now. Like, there's a bunch of NHL players that don't want to get vaccinated. And John Tavares was like,
I heard there was only 15 or 20 in the whole league.
Yeah, but that's still a lot. I mean, 15 or 20.
I'm
I think it is.
by how low that number is. We're
like,
talking hockey players here.
One for every two teams. Yeah, some guys had to be convinced of it, like Duncan Keith. Like Ken Holland sat down with Duncan Keith for 2 days just to talk to him about the vaccine. And what I found interesting is what Ken Holland said and what John Tavares said right after they were asked the question, which is, you know, how do you feel about it playing with unvaccinated players? He's like, they all said it's a choice people have to make. They didn't say these people needed to get vaccinated because it's better for the public health system. Like, even the captains of industry and the captain of the fucking Toronto Maple Leafs is still holding it out like it's some kind of decision you can't go wrong either way if you make. And it was mind-blowing to me. Like, mind-blowing that messaging still gets still gets delivered based on self-preservation. That's what I see in here.
It's not self-preservation. It's a concern that you're never going to be able to convince him if you strong-arm them. James has been saying that for months now.
Yeah.
Yes. Sorry.
Let me. That's okay. No worries. I'm glad you said that. Here's the Tavares video that I was talking about. Like, it's like a fucking, like, it's almost like little column A, little column B. COVID, no COVID.
I mean,
it's weird.
That's not really my field of expertise. In terms of public health and you know, dealing with the pandemic and the measures to take, I think you know, the league's obviously trying to operate as safe as possible and trying to encourage the safest possible environment in the safest ways. So they've obviously encouraged that and tried to minimize risk to keep everybody safe and to make sure that obviously everything functions accordingly in terms of the season and the schedule and all those types of things. So, but obviously it's anyone's choice to determine what they feel is best for them. I can't speak for everyone. I can only speak for myself. So, yeah, I mean, I think you can make an argument on both sides. You know, that's what the pandemic's really been all about. It's been a very difficult situation all the way through and even up until now. So I think everyone's trying to make the best decisions that they possibly can to do the right thing.
Thanks, John.
Am I wrong?
I mean,
am I
you
wrong?
can't
not really my
like-
field
like-
of expertise.
You can't be mad at John, though. He's a hockey player. Why
No,
are
but
they
did you-
asking him a fucking question like that? Stop it.
But it's not just him
But he's a-
saying that. Like, that's the thing. It is every, like, Ken Holland. He's in charge of the fucking Oilers. He's like,
Ken's
so
also
this
got an
decision was gonna make it-
organization that he has to.
I know, but why is it so fucking hard to say everybody should get vaccinated? Like 80% of us are. Like, very few people. I think we're the only
Dean,
group of
because,
people that says
Dean, honestly,
you should get vaccinated.
because
But-
you're not gonna convince these fucking. You're not.
But it's
and
irresponsible. Like, don't they know that? Don't they feel that? Don't they feel the irresponsibility of the statement? Like, that's the question I'm asking is like, oh my fucking God, you're the captain of the Toronto Maple Leafs. And listen, I hold him to no account for what he said because he was told what to say. I'm not a health expert. I'm not this. This was right for me. Can't speak to those things. Absolutely hold no ill will towards Johnny T. But as an organization, they're saying to him, and Kenny Holland saying the same thing on behalf of the Oilers. By the way, everybody, you can't make any bad decision here, and we're just trying to support everybody's decision. No, you can make a bad decision by not getting vaccinated, and science has proved that. And that's what we're talking about. That's why Alberta's so fucked. That's why people have died. That's why more people have died in Canada than did the fucking entire Second World War fighting. Like, no, but and I'm fucking sitting here going, oh my God, like, fuck, are you serious right now? There's an alternative decision that's healthy for everybody. Give me a fucking break.
I think I understand your point.
I get your anger.
It's a good point, but like they're first of all, one of the answers is lawyers as to why he said what he said. He's the captain. He was told to say what he said. I think you're totally right. But also, what if you flub it? What if you want to say that everyone should get vaccinated, and it comes out like, I don't want these fuckers around me if they're not vaccinated, or something like that. And then that causes a domino effect of like players that are anti-vaxxers. Like, well, fuck it, I'm not playing, and there goes Duncan Keith or whoever, right? And then there's all these. Then a wrongful dismissal thing happens, and it just causes a cascade of legal bullshit. And also, it doesn't work. You know, like it could work.
And I kind of agree with James too. Like, Dean, I get where you're coming from.
You guys are living in, and I get it.
Does it work?
You guys are living in the corporate world where responsibility starts and stops with money, and that is why. Hang on. That is why, dude. It has to be it because listen, there's
somebody made this.
How many times have you been vaccinated? How many times have you been vaccinated?
I got 3 in me.
You got 2. You got 3. Together, all of us, Locke carries the lion's share of the vaccinations. We've been vaccinated 2, 4, 7 times, the 3 of us. Why?
Because
it's the only
Lachlan's
alternative.
testicles got one of the doses.
Yeah, I had to get a third one for that large left nut.
And are vaccinated people, let me ask you this, are vaccinated people allowed in to watch a Oiler game? Yes or no?
No.
But they have one unvaccinated player still. But they have one unvaccinated player. He's more than allowed to be there. Dude, bear with me here.
The Elks, it's worse.
Same thing. The Edmonton Elks, like they fucking already had to postpone
into the building. You can't go into the building if you're unvaxxed. Yet only 80% of the team. Yeah, like 78% of the teams. Yeah,
that might actually be one of the prerequisites.
There's so much hypocrisy. It's not.
I know, and that's what I'm saying is that I love the integrity of the argument. The integrity of the argument doesn't pass the fucking smell test.
Yeah,
it doesn't. And the integrity of those statements also don't pass the smell test in the heat of a pandemic where nobody is allowed into Scotiabank Arena or Rexall Place or wherever your favorite team is playing in Canada. Nobody without being vaccinated twice.
Okay. I'm gonna recount what I did this morning during my sportscast.
Leave out the masturbation.
Okay. I wasn't actually masturbating during the sportscasts. Okay. So that's right. I was at home. I could have wanked off this morning.
Yeah, you could have.
I should have. Okay.
Should have.
So Ken Holland is the general manager of the Edmonton Oilers, a multi-million-dollar company. Lachlan Cross is a host on a radio show that very few people listen to. Okay. All right. And he does the sports. Okay. Yeah. All right. Let's say the two of us have the same job of like take away his role, take away my role. We both have the same impact on Josh. Okay. What the hell is Archibald? Okay. Because he loves the show, but he's an Edmonton Oiler. Let's say in some weird fucking world, our impact on Josh is the same. Okay. Ken's got to try to get him vaccinated before the season. Okay. So he's doing what he's doing by going, and I think you were being a little bit, it was a little harsh what you're saying. Because Ken didn't go on there and say that. He said, listen, this is a difficult decision. I understand where we're at, but he didn't say, you made it sound like he was giving them an out. I don't know if he necessarily gave them an out. I don't
know if he did either, the way he represented it in my morning news consumption.
Yeah.
Sure looked and sounded like he didn't say, listen, like, because he had an opportunity to say, we told Duncan if he doesn't get vaccinated, he can't fucking play. Right.
And he may have.
He may have. I don't know.
In the press, he's got to be a little bit more diplomatic.
Yeah, that's fair.
So he's being diplomatic. Let's say he's being diplomatic. Okay. On my newscast every hour, I paused after the Oilers announcement, after my Oilers story, and I said, hey, Josh, you're a fourth liner. You're a fourth liner, Josh. You're a fourth liner. And then I went into the top hour ID. Okay. How much impact? How much change? Like, who has a better chance of changing Josh's mind if we're on the same playing field of influence with Josh?
Kenny Holland.
Thank you. Right. That goes to what the point that James has been trying to make over the last couple of months.
But there's one other really, really big point, which is I don't know how many of us realize that we are living right now in the current time in a completely unprecedented situation among dozens of unprecedented situations. And the one that really sticks out for me is that for the first time, there's lots of people, including Wade, I guess, who on the comments and fine position, if that's the position that he wants, the federal leader to make all vaccinations mandatory. It sounds good because the math would be like, okay, I guess everyone will be safer. But you have to compartmentalize that just a little bit, because mandating that we civilians must be injected with something against their will, if it is against their will, is something that we have never even dipped our toe in before. The vaccinations at schools notwithstanding, because you could opt out, it wasn't forced. And so we're talking about that now as if it should be a no-brainer, but it's not a no-brainer. It just isn't. If it was leprosy, it might be a little bit of a no-brainer. But
why is leprosy worse?
because you can see it. Because you look, if you take a bath long, you look like stew. So. You know?
Always go to leprosy.
That's what COVID needs. COVID needs to make you grow like a dick out of your elbow. Just so people will be like, well,
then everybody's like, give me the fucking vaccine. Every single one of those guys, if one of the fucking side effects from COVID was that a giant set of balls appeared on your cheeks the next morning, you'd fucking be like, where's the vaccine? Let's go. Let's go.
I don't know. I'd want to see that.
Pfizer could have put a bonus ingredient in there and, hook us up with the roadie.
It's fucked. Where we're at is fucked. And so when we sit there and watch somebody try to negotiate these waters, I feel bad for them, right? Because I'm lucky. I can go on the show and go, Josh, you're a fourth liner, you loser. And I don't even care if 50% of the audience doesn't get it.
Yeah.
Because I didn't even say his last name, not once. I just said, Josh.
You're saying he doesn't have enough clout to really be taken as seriously as a
You're playing a fucking game. You make money playing a game. You're living everybody's dream. You're 5'6". You're fucking lucky you're in the NHL. You're on a Canadian team. You're fucking on the fourth line. And you're fucking taking a stand like that. You're an idiot. Go play in Russia. That's a great point. You go fucking play in Russia. If that kid skates with the team this year, I'll
furious. You're never going to go to a game.
I'll be shocked.
You make a really embarrassing.
I can't afford to go to.
You say that, but that's not true. Let me just again sticking with COVID because it's so fun, right? It's a lot of fun. I put out a tweet this last week that kind of went viral, and it was after we'd done some work. One of our sources came to us and said, hey, I might want to look into Doug Ford going to the United States for a wedding with his family. And I'm like, I'll look into it. So I looked into it, asked a couple people. They're like, yeah, there's something here, but we can't talk about it. But you're not wrong. And I'm like, okay. So I put this tweet up. Had a few thousand tweets. Doug Ford's daughter, most of whom are unvaccinated, went to the United States last week with her dad for a wedding after he recorded a series of social media posts to release when he was gone, a la Rod Phillips. That was something the former minister of health, or was he like a long-term care minister? I don't even know. He was some minister, and he went on vacation at Christmas, and he shouldn't have. You know, like all the Albertan vacations,
Everyone went to Vegas or Hawaii,
exactly,
or Arizona.
And there's other guy that filmed all those ads at the lobby of the resort. With his
he filmed them at home, but he would do the Zoom meetings from a yacht. Yeah, somewhere in the Bahamas.
With a background. And they caught him because he was wearing the same Christmas sweater.
No, it's because you could hear, and you could hear seagulls in the back, like it's like fucking it's December.
Yeah.
So anyway,
that guy.
We looked into it. There was something there. Wrote a post about it this morning because last night, and at the end of the post, I was like, listen, I think it's actually here. I said, hey, we'll correct everything on the record, but we got an actual, we'll correct it if this is wrong, is what I said. We'll correct the actual tweet. We'll make sure we correct the record. So we got a note from Ivana Yelich, who is Doug Ford's press secretary, right? We've talked about it before.
We're talking about it on the podcast today.
That's Brian Lilly's girlfriend. Yeah, the guy the head writer for The Sun.
Let's make it even better.
Who gets all the scoops? Who gets all the scoops before everybody else?
That puts on the gag ball for little Brian.
Let's not get crazy. We don't know anything about their life, and I think she's just doing her job. And I give her full credit. So we get this yesterday. No.
You like trash everybody all the time. You're like, James, I think you're being a little hard on Brian Lilly.
Yeah,
you brought gag ball into it.
Yeah, I
gotta pump the brakes at some point.
Yeah, just relax.
Shit. Okay, it's not easy sometimes. Okay.
I know. Well, if something like that pops up, just hang on to it for a bit. Anyway, so here's the deal. She sends us this thing through. I think it was Chris. Was this through Facebook?
Smells rotten.
Is this where we got this one? I don't know. Is it? Yeah.
That's an email.
You can pop on, dude. Come on. Is that an email or is this email? So come on. Chris got married for the second time yesterday. And he's super hungover, by the way. Doesn't want to be on. Anyway, I think he might puke.
He looks a little rough.
So he got this email. Yeah, he looks like shit.
He still has bedhead. Look, he still has bedhead.
No.
It's through email. It's the company email.
Company email. Oh yeah, you sound.
Which I saw last. You look rough. You look like you spent the night fighting in the parking lot.
He got
All
married.
your guys' jokes are really funny today. I don't know why.
That's because you're hung over to the tits. So when did you get this? When do we get this?
I saw it at like 2:00 in the morning.
And what did you think when you got it? What were your first?
Why is the premier reaching out to us right now?
Yeah. So let me read this. The premier has, in response to the Twitter ad, the allegations you're making on Twitter are false. That's in bold. I want to own that and put that there. The premier has not left the country since the start of the pandemic. The videos posted to a social media account were recorded last week in Toronto. Please record the record. Thanks, Ivana Yelich. So then Chris sends that to me, and I say, please write this back to her because I don't have access to that email, and I could care less. Hello, Ivana. We'd like to update the story with correct information, yet you've provided none. Other than to say, Mr. Ford, too many spaces between none and other, Chris. Other than to say, Mr. Ford never left the province or his general whereabouts over the past 60 days, except to say he's been working and he has not left. Can you please provide any proof that Mr. Ford has not traveled outside the country and the province and proof of his immediate family fully vaccinated? Thank you. We've updated the Twitter post with your correction. Regards, Dean. Isn't that a nice way to handle that kind of saltiness? Did you guys approve of that? Was that a nice way to do it?
It had an undertone of dickish in it.
Yeah. I think he should have been more dickish. I think you should have implied the possibility that you've seen the guest list and you were just curious who gave away Doug Ford's daughter at the wedding.
I could have.
Can answer that
I could have, but I'm still playing this as a long game, Jamesy. It's a long game. So here's the next tweet she sent.
I'm not going to answer for a week.
Hence the little dickish.
I guess so. She sends back, I love this. Fuck, this is so telling. You have provided no evidence that Mr. Premier Ford has left the country because he hasn't. I appreciate you correcting the record. Thanks, Ivana Yelich.
Where was he on the day that she got married?
No one knows. No one knows where he's been.
Can I take over this email exchange?
Nobody knows.
Sure.
Oh, can we let James do it?
Yeah.
I don't know,
Oh
man.
my God, that's a
No,
great idea.
No. I'm gonna type it and then just send it to Chris, and it will be from Chris. That's what I think.
Yeah, what are you going to say?
I'm going to ask the right questions to see. You ask, in this situation, if you are like pretty sure that he went, then you ask only questions where they would have to lie. And those are the only questions. Yeah, the broad one where it's like, did you go? But like, who gave her away at the wedding? Why, how do you feel about missing your own daughter's wedding? And just make them pontificate. If it's all lies, it'll sound like lies.
She's being short for a reason. She's no dummy. She's not going to get sucked in.
No, I don't think she's dumb at all. What I found interesting is that she said that I don't have proof. That's assuming she knows everyone I've talked to, and that I'm like, I don't just make shit up for attention anymore.
That was a good time in the pause. Like,
I like that.
Yeah,
I don't do that. I don't make up like litigious things for attention. Like we're accountable. We try to be, which is why I said at the end of it, I'm like,
sued over this.
No, and that's not the point.
They don't want to bring any more attention to your podcast network.
Exactly.
That's why you can continue to be a dick.
Exactly. And here's the thing. I was thinking about it the other day because someone was like, don't you think they're going to come after you? And I'm like, what are they going to get? What are you going to take? Like, I've been canceled. I live my life online. Like my days are fucking here. Like this is, you see it. I talk about how much I used to drink and how much of a dick I used to be all the time. And
comes up almost every podcast.
I love it. And so there's literally, because I sewer myself on a daily basis with honesty and content, there's nothing they can do, right? Nothing.
No.
So for Ivana Yelich to say I don't have proof, number one is absolute. Let me just look into the camera.
We might not get Doug Ford as a guest on this fantastic.
I'm okay because I've decided I don't want to have
news podcast in Canada.
He follows me. Maybe I can. Maybe
does
I can
he really?
He does. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I've interviewed him before. Him and I kind of know who each other are. Like, I was really nice to Rob Ford too. But anyways, this particular situation is a very Fordian thing. The idea that you don't want to tell someone where you're going, breaking rules, is that's basically how Rob Ford ran his administration when he was mayor of Toronto.
Yeah, and Jason Kenney. That's how Jason Kenney operates.
Kenny, yeah. Well, we all know where Kenny is. He's in his mom's basement in
hiding. But that in itself, like, he's a taxpayer, as is Kenny, a taxpayer-funded public servant.
Yeah.
And I, as a taxpayer in this province, said, "Hey, could you tell us where he is?" And she basically told me to go fuck my hat, like, without any explanation. Like, and then also told me that I don't have proof. And let me just look in the camera one more time, which I do. That he has not just stayed at the cottage this whole time. I have that proof. Anyway, so that's like and here's the thing. This is how I operate now, and I tell my kids this stuff all the time. If you're hiding something, chances are there's a reason. Is that not how we raise kids? If you're hiding something, I don't know.
Is he not allowed to go?
And even if he went, I don't care that he went. I don't care that he went to the fucking States. He's vaccinated. I don't care that his kids aren't vaccinated, which they aren't.
You're not allowed into the States if you're unvaccinated.
I just want to know the details. Absolutely. The farther he is away from this place, the better. No issues whatsoever. I don't even care about his. But like,
if
at
the
very least, like, just where the fuck have you been?
It'll be a massive story. It'll be
It'll never make it. It'll never make it.
He's just afraid of the optics. That's it, right?
Yeah.
He didn't break any rules. He's afraid that
he totally broke rules, James. He totally did.
If he did.
You can't get into the States if you're unvaccinated. You can't travel.
Yelich said he didn't go.
He's not vaccinated?
No, he's vaccinated.
But his kids aren't. Like, it's
don't
well
you remember
known
this?
that his family
what's the point in having ties? You can't use Brooklyn, right? It was in New Jersey.
Wow.
It was in the
Yeah.
Hamptons.
Yeah. Is that where the wedding
you
was?
guys
It was
know
in
where the
Hamptons?
wedding-
Jersey Mob.
Yeah, it was
I don't
in the
know.
Hamptons.
I've heard
Wow.
I've heard there was a wedding in Staten Island. I've heard there was a wedding in the Hamptons. I've heard there was an Iraqi police officer involved. I've heard so many stories, and to the point where like I haven't followed up on any of it because I don't give a fuck. I already know what I know. I've talked to who I've talked to. Put some stuff out. I stand corrected if that can be proven. I asked for proof. Didn't give us any. Basically got real short and told us to take a hike. That's fine. That's how this whole thing works. You've provided no evidence that the Premier Ford has left the country because he has, and I appreciate you correcting the record. That's very nice. We had a nice exchange. I corrected the record, and we're going to send her another email, a la James, and we're going to find out where he's been because,
I think
like,
that's
for
the best
fuck's
thing
sakes,
you could do. Get James
just a
involved.
question, right?
That's
I would
not going to get
dismantle-
ugly
I
at
would
all.
Dismantle her psychology. Which is the right way to put this mic? This
The
way?
other way. No, the other way. Yeah, you've got it backwards.
Jesus,
again.
why do you have this?
No, turn it
why
around.
is this so difficult for you?
Turn it around.
I just try my best.
I try my best to focus on what I'm good at, and I
He's so high.
Guys.
I'm not high at all.
By the way, Chris, just a quick question before we get caught up in another topic.
Yes, I'm so drunk.
Yeah. I'm just also wondering when your next bum fights episode is.
excuse me.
Listen, I was at the Cheeto till 5 o'clock in the morning. Okay.
No, dude, listen to this, and let's close with Chris today because he's a fucking hero. He's like my right hand. He's our head of production. He has worked his balls off tirelessly to make what we do successful or more successful on a daily basis. I love him to death.
I
he
know
and
his cell number too, which is
He and his
Hey.
yeah, it is. He and his lovely wife Lindsay have had a pandemic wedding disaster.
Oh, yeah.
So we're supposed to get married a while ago, couldn't, put it off. Ended up just getting married in a very intimate setting in a church, and they live streamed it with just immediate family. Correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You watched
Which
it
I
too.
watched. I watched it.
too.
It was beautiful. Yeah, I watched the whole thing. Sent you a note. Said it was beautiful. So last night was, if I'm not mistaken, it was the party. It was like now. What happened? Was there a real, like, you had to do another wedding, like a fake wedding? Is that correct?
Yeah, we did a 10-minute ceremony and then cocktails and then open bar from 3:30 to midnight.
That's my kind of bar.
And just said, have at it. We ripped through the speeches as fast as possible, so we had the most time to just get as crazy as possible.
So
Good for you.
yeah, if I was at that wedding like 4 years ago, Jesus, you would never invite me out again.
No, I would invite you
I
out.
never
Some
get
of my
invited
friends
to
had
weddings.
mushrooms, James.
Yeah.
What's that?
Some of the guys had mushrooms
Oh,
before the
okay,
ceremony.
No one ever invites me to weddings. Like literally, I can count on one hand in the last. I need 2 fingers. I've been to 2 weddings in literally like 25 years. People don't like me. That's one, but also they know I'm a raging alcoholic, and that if I'm coming, like it's gonna be like it's a costly open bar.
You'd
Yeah.
fit right
I
in.
won't.
Bob.
I won't drink for 3 days if somebody like I would prep. I do
Here's the-
liver prep for
here's
an open
the-
bar.
Would you do a
Have
little
super
tea
liver
cleanse?
without prep, right?
Dean, you've met a couple of the guys. They're pretty greasy.
Yeah, he's got terrible friends. But here's the thing about Chris is that he got married once, had to get married again, right? So he had to go through the whole thing again, and he cannot get
wondering.
vaccinated. Can't get vaccinated. He's got like a literal medical condition. Had to
I'm
get
gonna
it
try
checked
still.
out. Yeah.
I'm gonna go
So-
through the right channels to try.
So here's the thing.
rheumatoid. What is it?
Rheumatoid arthritis. He's got
Yeah,
the
but
gene
they're
for it.
they just don't know if it's gonna fuck me up, and I'm
Yeah.
going to see specialists. But the specialists are so blocked up with people trying to get exemptions that it's not for 8 months. So fuck me then.
If last night didn't kill you, I don't think the vaccine's going to kill you.
You actually have something legitimately that you
Yeah, I
wanna
can't
find
even-
out. Well, and there's no numbers on the vaccines with rheumatoid arthritis. Like there's
They don't even know if
there's
it's
no
that,
data.
though. They're just like they're trying to figure it out and make sure
What
they'll
you
be
have.
okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so the thing is his
Might be
mom
Lyme's
has it.
disease, but I can't
Mom
go to the
has
States to
it.
get tested. So it's a
Couple
whole
of
fucking thing.
so they had to test like his whole family, right? Because they were interested and wanted to get vaccinated. This is the other side of the coin we never talk about. Wants to get vaccinated, goes through a battery of tests, still undergoing a battery of tests to make sure he can get vaccinated. Because what was the number the doctor gave you? It was like 50-50. You might have serious side effects.
Yeah. And I was like, so they're saying there's a chance. Just want to go to concerts, man.
This guy's all he's trying to do. He's going to specialist after specialist after specialist to try to get vaccinated. And your boy Josh, a fourth fucking liner in the NHL making millions. Your boy Josh is like, I'm not getting it. This guy's jumping through every hoop he can to get it.
I forgot my papers at the room we were getting ready in that showed that I had a negative COVID test.
Yeah.
So they almost didn't even let me in the ceremony. And I just looked at the lady with short hair. I said, I'm the groom. And she went, oh, you paid big money. All right, come in, please. I'm like, yeah, damn right.
That's starting now, by the way. That whole
It started yesterday.
What I mean is that whole thing. When you say I've been saying shit for months, this is what I was worried about, was that all the video clips that I see now on Twitter of these people telling like, I'm sorry, you can't, this isn't the form, you're gonna have to leave. And people are arguing, they're like, I just want my coffee. Like, what's going on? And it's gonna get worse and worse and worse, I think.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I just don't I don't have an answer. So I'm not even like
be a fucking nightmare.
There's some high stress with my friends because the site crashed yesterday.
Yeah.
So they were all trying to get their shit on their Apple wallets, texting me, being like, we can't get it. And I said, just fucking print it out. Take a screenshot of the email. I don't know what to tell you. Just figure it out. Because it was the first day.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have the same problem in Alberta. But I mean, if we're being honest, the site is a joke. It takes forever to load. So it's not like you're going to be able to use the app when you go to Hortons, right? Like, wait, hold on. I got 7,000 people in front of me. Just take a second. Hang on. So I took everyone's been taking pictures of their forms.
Yep.
And then keeping it on their phones.
They're just going to loosen what they expect from you. Restaurants are just going to be like,
we went to the football game and I walked through the first line, which was, do you have a bag? And I had nothing. And they're like, okay, well then there was another guy, and I had to go up to this guy, and I'm like, he's like, I need to see proof of vaccination. So I went, it's on my phone, and I barely even pulled it up.
That's what's gonna happen.
And I'm like, I got it here, and he goes, yeah, go. They're not.
No.
Yeah. Especially a lot of those businesses that are fucking dying still, right? Like that see someone come in and they go, oh my God, that's like a $200 meal.
Worst
that I'm not going to sell to that person.
Worst attendance in Elks 20, 30 years or something like that.
And all the seats were available?
58,000 in that building, and very rarely do they get over 30, right? But they're never selling out. I mean, it's football in Canada, right?
Plus they're called the Elks. Can't stress that enough.
I like that name though.
I don't hate it. I don't mind it.
I like it too.
I understand why people are upset about the name change over political correctness, and I understand that. But I mean, let's break it down. It's a football team we're talking about here,
right? Yeah, Canadian football team.
You're upset about that.
Some of the guys on that team make less than the guy at the corner store asking for $2 for the Slurpee.
Yeah.
So let's.
Fucking relax. Guys have to work in the summer. They sell cars so that they can afford to kick the football.
Of Calgary, John Cornish, remember? He was like a banker as well as the leading rusher for the CFL.
A lot of them sell insurance. I'm not even kidding.
You remember who's that guy that they signed, like the Toronto Argonauts signed like 25 years ago? The Rocket?
Yeah, Rocket Ishmael.
Yeah. Oh my God, the hype around that guy was like, oh, he's the greatest ever. And he was like,
He was. Oh no, he was fucking unbelievable.
He was pretty good.
Yeah,
he was fast.
Crazy. He had that 101-yard like kickoff return to start the fucking Grey Cup that one year. You're like, that's why they gave him $1 million.
Rocket.
Anytime we talk about the Canadian Football League, though, people fucking get so angry. Especially people from Western Canada, they get fucking crazy angry.
Well, because you shit all over it. You shit all over it all the time.
As you
it
should.
sucks. I tried to watch a football game. It does suck. I tried to watch a CFL football game the other day. Yeah.
You know what? I'm gonna live stream my next trip to the football game.
All right.
You gotta hang out with me for the whole fucking thing.
All right.
Basically, we just stand in the end zone and get shit tanked underneath the big screen.
You notice how you can just stand in the end zone?
Yeah, it's different for you because you're there getting drunk. I'm at home. I have to watch. I know why you get as drunk as you do because it's shit. I'd have to
It's
get that
fun.
fucking wasted to watch it live too.
It's fun. And guess how much the ticket cost me? My season's
$8.
ticket cost
$8.
me $99
for the year.
Are they still doing a
for
Gretzky? Is that a
the
Gretzky plug?
year.
What is that?
I don't know what it was, but it was like
Great
99
product they
bucks.
have
So
there.
it's like $120.
Yeah,
My
get what you
tickets
paid
are
for.
way the fuck
Remember
up
that,
there. I mean,
Chris?
you need a Sherpa to get to my
Yeah.
seats, but they're fine. Like, whatever.
Why
Dude,
don't they
I
just
heard
add
they're
another
coming up with a
down?
new CFL theme song called "Run Past Kick." Because
Dude, the field goal,
CFL.
the field goal posts are at the front of the end zone.
Every once
Don't
in
worry
a while,
about that bar. That hasn't injured
Frank,
anybody's knee.
how can we be
ever.
different?
They're padded. They're
I'm gonna put them
padded.
at the front of the end zone.
It's
That
so
makes sense.
crazy to me. It's like a fucking obstacle course.
They're
Like it's
It'll
padded.
just be holograms.
It's fine.
right? We'll
And
just
the
go from
field's
that to hologram.
bigger.
Hey guys, where should we put the field goal posts? At the end where there's nothing or nobody out of the field of play, or right in the middle of the fucking goal line? The goal line, please.
Yeah.
Excellent. What do we call it? Let's call it the CFL, because one day someone's going to come up to us and go, "What the fuck is this?" And we're going to go, "It's Canadian. It's not that big of a deal."
It's
So
good.
it's the
It's fine.
Canadian Football League.
And
Fine.
they used to
Dude.
want to say that Canada's the CFL's balls were bigger. That was like a tagline.
Yeah.
But really, it's
They are.
because
They're a bit
it's
bigger.
the same reason you have a primary pencil. You know, it's a little bit bigger. You might not be able to catch it, but you know.
Do you know
You
how many
guys are
guys-
all
Do
dicks.
you know how
all of
hard
you.
I laugh every time there's a highlight of a wide receiver or a slot back going over the middle at the goal line to catch a fucking football, and he gets a face field of goalpost? Like, it
Doesn't
is the
happen all the
greatest.
time.
Oh, it happens every year,
No.
and every year I say the same thing. I'm like, all you have to do is move the goalpost to the back of the fucking field, just out of the fucking field. Take it out of the field. It's like, honest to God, it's the most point. It's like wipeout for terrible football players. That's what it is.
And add one more
And then
down.
baseball.
That's it.
What is it? Was it San Francisco?
more down.
What was the?
Yeah.
What was
I like the
city
three downs.
in baseball? That hill in center field. Who the?
Yeah,
it-
San
it
Francisco
turned the
Giants,
baseball
Candlestick
stadium
Park,
into
yeah.
like a mini putt course. Like,
Yeah,
what
yeah,
the
yeah.
fuck? It's so stupid.
Yeah, it's
All of a
fucking
sudden,
crazy
you're on
to me.
American Gladiator when you're chasing a fly ball. It doesn't make any sense. I don't know. Anyway,
Honest to
that
God,
reminded me of
if the
All
CFL, if
of
the
you guys have
CFL
to come to
decided,
a football game if you come to Edmonton.
I will.
can't.
And-
I'm not vaccinated.
yeah, you can't come.
Thanks, though.
Yeah, you
All
got to
right.
stay home.
I'll go. I'd like to
Sneak
get some
in
work
through the
done.
back.
Wheel me in on an iPad.
However, Houston Stadium, by the way, it's none of the stadiums we talked about. I thought it might have been Texas, but it's Houston. If the Canadian Football League just moved the goalposts,
You'd
out of the
still be a
field.
dick. You'd still
No.
be a dick about the
Oh,
game.
I would watch it.
Ooh.
I would
No.
watch it.
Ouch.
I would watch it.
Yeah.
Daryl's mad because he's a fucking CFL fan.
Yeah, he is. I know he is. He's always trying to get me to go to the tailgate party.
Oh, is he? Sorry, Daryl.
What does that look like?
Sorry about your
Well,
brother's marriage, Daryl.
Yeah.
right.
The tailgate
I think-
parties, I have not been, so I don't want to comment. But yeah, we don't go. We don't go. We go to the bar first.
Okay. Well, I
Yeah.
think we've done some good work. Gave the CFL a little coverage today. We talked about some politics. We talked to an Army dude. That was a lot of fun. We talked about getting married twice to the same woman in 6 months. Must have been a blast.
Blast.
Very Hollywood.
Honest to God, I would rather die.
With the only thing worse than planning a wedding for 9 months is planning one for 21.
Yeah.
Not a fan of Lindsay?
Yeah.
What do you mean you'd rather die? What does that mean?
She got,
I'd rather die
she
than
got
get
more
married.
juice than I did last night.
No, I know. Who, me? She
Lindsay.
did?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, she barfed, didn't she? She threw up. How's she doing?
See ya.
She is.
Corpse
still
is just
fucked up.
chilling in the corner.
Wow.
Good night. Looks like I got to watch Thursday Night Football tonight
Yeah, right. Good,
with 4 downs.
Here's your
Attaboy.
Valium. I mean water.
4 downs.
4 downs. And guess in the NFL, Lock, you'll never guess.
I
Where they-
watched
where
the
they-
NFL as well, and I appreciate
You'll
the game.
never.
I just
I've
say
got some trivia for you. You might not know. You'll never guess where they put the field goal post. Outside the field of play. Brilliant. Brilliant. Anyway, thanks, Locke. Appreciate you. Good to see you.
that was a good day today.
That was fun.
Thank you, boys. All
Bye,
right.
guys.
Give me a
That's,
heads up on that bum fights episode, Brooke.
Chris, yeah, that is
bet
locked
on you.
across
I'm betting on you.
95.7 Cruise
what the
FM
fuck a bump
in
fight is.
Edmonton. That is James DiFiore at James DiFiore, Blackballed the podcast. That was my friend Chris Rook, rookie. And his girlfriend, or wife now, lying on the couch, passed out, wasted, drunk last night. I got wasted. Woo, party. That was a lot of fun. Thanks, everybody. Don't forget to sign up for our newsletter at deanblundell.com. You can also enjoy some of our partners' fine wares, including some Gitch, courtesy of Ed's Fine Imports. Ed's Fine Imports is one of our sponsors and partners. We wear his underwear, and you can too. Super easy, actually. All you have to do is go to Ed's Fine Imports and go to the website, edsfineimports.com. Here's what you do. This is really cool. Then you enter promo code GITCH and the number 3. You get 4 pairs of underwear for the price of 3. And they're luxury boxer briefs. Nice little hammock in the front for your junk. And it's breathable. There's no piling. Waistband's incredible. All the waistbands and Saks and all the other ones that aren't Canadian, they all gave out. All of them give out. These ones never give out. You'll have them forever. That's why they're luxury branded underwear. edsfineimports.com. Gitch is the name of his underwear. Gitch3 is your promo code. Domination is our software partner as well for production and anything we do commercial-wise or anything promo-wise. Use domination.com. Go to dmntn.com. Check them out today as well. If you produce content and it takes forever to be able to produce one promo, these guys do all the fucking guesswork. They take it out and then they make you a star. And that's why it's fun to use Domination. Try them for free. Go to dmntn.com today and try them. If you're a content producer, you'll love it. Saves you pretty much all your time when it comes to putting out promos for what you're doing. Gamer, streamer, doesn't matter. It's terrific. Domination.com. Also want to thank our friends at Easy Auto Financial, easyautofinancial.ca. Great stuff. These guys are awesome. What they do is they make it super easy for you to buy a car no matter your credit rating. A lot of people get worried about that. They don't care. All they want to do is make sure they get you in a vehicle and get you the vehicle you want. So without having to pay anything, no cost, no obligation, you call them, go to easyautofinancial.ca and check in with them, and then they'll call you and they'll figure out how to get you the car that you want for free. The car isn't free. The financing is, but they take all the fun and they do it for you, so you don't have to dick around with buying a car. easyautofinancial.ca. Check them out today. And last but not least, Blue microphones. We use them all the time. I'm wearing these MoFi headphones, which you can get at Blue Microphones, bluemic.com, or at Blue Microphones on Twitter. You can also use the Blue Yeti X USB/XLR mics. Doesn't matter. They have everything that you need for podcasting, streaming, gaming. They're a Logitech group of companies. We use Logitech cameras. You can too. All you need to do is go to bluemic.com. Check them out. Everything that they have. Gamer discounts. Unbelievable stuff. bluemicrophones.com. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow morning on the program. I forget. We'll be back.
-1 minute.